Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I'm now going to be reviewing all of Thursday's action from the NHL. There were a total of 10 games on tap, so let's get rolling to see who won and where everybody's sitting at in the standings this late in the season. So the Montreal Canadiens went into New York to take on the Islanders. In the first period, Jordan Harris would open up the scoring for Montreal, getting his third goal of the year from Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki, and that goal happened with about 2 minutes remaining in the first. So it's 1-0 in favor of Montreal heading into the second period. Engvall would tie the game up, getting his 10th goal of the season, assisted by Palesh and Mike Riley, 5 minutes and 17 seconds in the middle frame. In the third period, Cole Caulfield would give the Montreal Canadiens a 2-1 lead, getting his 25th of the year, assisted by Kovacevic and Mike Matheson, 3 minutes and 42 seconds into the third period. Cizikas would tie the game up 6.5 minutes into that same period, getting his ninth goal of the year from Palesh and Pollock. This game would need overtime to settle this matchup. Kyle Palmieri would get the game-winning goal, his 28th of the season, assisted by Nelson, a minute and 17 seconds into the overtime frame. So with the victory, the Islanders now sitting at 37, 27, and 15. They have 89 points so far. They are third in the Metropolitan Division. They haven't secured a playoff spot just yet, but I imagine if they can win at least two of the last three games, they should be able to punch their ticket into the playoffs for this year. As for the Montreal Canadiens, after the overtime loss, they are now 30, 36, and 13. They have 73 points on the season with 3 games to go. Alrighty, the next matchup took place in Buffalo, where we had the Sabres, and they were playing against the Washington Capitals. So I'll get those teams up on the screen. Alrighty, let's take a look and see just how this matchup went. So Benson would kick things off in the first, getting his 10th goal of the season with exactly a minute to go in the period, assisted by Skinner and Krebs. It was 1-0 in favor of Buffalo heading into the second period. Alex Tuch would increase lead to 2-0, getting his 22nd goal of the year, assisted by, oh boy, Yoki Harujo. What? I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. Wow. And Tage Thompson with 7 minutes and 23 seconds to go in the period. McMichael would finally get the Capitals their first goal of the game. For McMichael, that would be his 18th goal of the season, assisted by Pacioretty and John Carlson. And that goal happened with 5 minutes and 24 seconds to go on the clock. So after 40 minutes of play, the Sabres had a 2-1 lead. In the third period, Quinn would increase lead to 3-1, 9 minutes and 46 seconds into that frame. For Quinn, that would be his 8th goal of the year, assisted by Clifton and Greenway. Dylan Cousins would increase lead to 4-1, getting his 16th goal of the season from Greenway and, oh my gosh, that guy's name again, Yoki Haraju. That goal happened with 2 minutes and 17 seconds to go, increasing the lead to 4-1. Tom Wilson would cut the deficit in half to 4-2, getting his 18th goal of the year, assisted by Karlsson and Ovechkin, but unfortunately the Capitals were not able to mount a comeback, so 4-2 would be the final score. With the victory, the Sabres are 38, 37, and 5. They have 81 points on the season, but they have officially been eliminated. They only have 2 games left to go, and they trail the second place wildcard spot by 5 points. So even if they won out their last 2 games, that's only 4 points. They'd still finish a point out of the playoffs. As for the Washington Capitals, they are on the outside looking in when it comes to the postseason. They have a record of 37, 31, and 11. They have 85 points. They're trailing the second place wildcard spot just by 1 point with 3 games to go, so anything can happen. It's going to be a dogfight for that last wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. Okay, so the next matchup took place in Florida. We had the Panthers, and they were playing against the Blue Jackets. So I'll get those teams' logos up on the screen, and we'll take a look and see how this game went. So in the first period, Matthew Tkachuk would open up the scoring, getting his 26th goal of the year, assist by Ekman Larson and Nick Cousins, just 47 seconds into the opening frame. Heading into the second period, the Panthers had a 1-0 lead. Evan Rodriguez would increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 12th goal of the year from Lindell and Louis Stryden, and that goal happened with 2 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the period. Sam Reinhart would increase the lead to 3-0 with 54 seconds to go in that same frame. For Reinhart, that'd be his 54th goal of the year from Barkov and Ekman Larson. So heading into the third period, the Panthers had a 3-0 lead. In the third period, just a lone goal to report. That would be Vladimir Tarasenko. He would get his 23rd goal of the year, assisted by Forsling, and that goal happened with 2 minutes and 17 seconds to go on the clock. So 4-0 would be the final score in favor of the Panthers. They have now gotten their 50th win of the season. They are sitting at 50, 24, and 6. They have 106 points on the season, and they're just a point behind Boston for first place in the Atlantic Division, and they have 2 games remaining. As for the Columbus Blue Jackets, after this loss, they are 26, 42, and 12. They have 64 points on the season with 2 games remaining. Alrighty, the next matchup took place between the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Rangers. So one team's already clinched a playoff spot while the other one is still fighting for their playoff lives. In the first period, Cam York would open up the scoring 4 minutes and 21 seconds into that frame. For York, that would be his 10th goal of the year, assisted by Konechny. Arturi Panarin would tie the game up with a power play goal, 2 minutes and 41 seconds remaining on the clock. For Panarin, that would be his 47th goal of the season, assisted by Fox and Zibanejad. I would love to see this guy get 50. In the second period, Brink would give the Flyers a 2-1 lead. His 11th of the season, assisted by Paling, 3 minutes and 29 seconds into the middle frame. Konechny would increase the lead to 3-1 with 47 seconds to go. For Konechny, that would be his 32nd goal of the year, assisted by Paling. So after 40 minutes of play, the Flyers had a 3-1 lead. Cates would increase the lead to 4-1 in the third. For Cates, that would be his 6th goal of the season, assisted by Couturier and Sanheim. 5 minutes and 56 seconds in the third period. So with the victory, the Flyers are now sitting at 37, 32, and 11. They have 85 points on the season, and they're just a point behind the second place wildcard spot team in the Eastern Conference with 2 games to go. So just like I talked about with the previous game, and I'm sure there'll be other teams during this review, there's at least 4 teams fighting for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. After the loss, the New York Rangers are 53, 23, and 4. They have 110 points on the season with 2 games remaining. So if they were to win out at least one more of those games, or possibly their last 2 games, they should clinch the Metropolitan Division. Okay, the next matchup took place in Pittsburgh, where we have the Red Wings, and they were taking on the Penguins. So another 2 teams that are still fighting for that last wildcard spot. Like I said, there's at least 4 or 5 teams that are trying to get in, and it's a very close race, to say the least. So in the first period, Drew O'Connor would open up the scoring, getting his 15th goal of the season from Rust and Crosby, 2 minutes and 40 seconds in the opening frame. Lucas Raymond would tie the game up, getting his 27th goal of the year, assisted by DeBrincat, 3 minutes and 39 seconds in the first. Chris Letang would give the Penguins a 2-1 lead. For Letang, that would be his 10th goal of the year, assisted by Bunting and Raquel. And that goal happened with 4 minutes and 51 seconds to go on the clock. Lucas Raymond would strike again, getting his 2nd goal of the game, his 28th of the year from DeBrincat and Larkin. And that goal happened with just 14 seconds to go on the clock. So after 20 minutes of play, we had 2 goals apiece. And in the second period, Sidney Crosby would give the Penguins a 3-2 lead, getting his 41st goal of the year from Rust and Riley Smith, 7 minutes and 58 seconds in the middle frame. Brian Rust would increase the lead to 4-2 with 7 minutes and 16 seconds to go on the clock. For Rust, that would be his 27th goal of the season, assisted by Smith. Jeff Petrie would cut the deficit to 4-3. For Petrie, that would be his 3rd goal of the year from Seider and Sprong, and that goal happened with just 36 seconds to go on the clock. So the Penguins were holding on to a 4-3 lead heading into the third period. Jeff Carter would get a shorthanded goal in the third, giving him 10 on the year, 3 minutes and 32 seconds into the frame, increasing the lead to 5-3. Dylan Larkin would strike, cutting the deficit to 5-4. For Larkin, that'd be his 32nd goal of the year, assisted by Raymond and JT Confer. And that goal happened with 7 minutes and 4 seconds to go on the clock. Lucas Raymond would get a natural hat-trick, tying the game up with 5 minutes and 7 seconds to go in the game. For Raymond, that's now his 29th goal of the year from Larkin and DeBrincat. We would need overtime to settle this matchup. Erik Karlsson would get the game-winning goal, his 10th of the year, from Crosby and Raquel, a minute 40 seconds in the overtime frame. So, with the victory, Pittsburgh's now sitting at 37, 30, and 12. They have 86 points on the season. With 3 games remaining, they are currently sitting in the second wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. After the overtime loss, the Detroit Red Wings are 38, 32, and 9. They have 85 points on the season with 3 games remaining. So between the Penguins, the Capitals, the Red Wings, and the Philadelphia Flyers, they're all separated by 1 point with 3 or 2 games remaining, respectively. Alrighty. The next matchup that I will be reviewing took place in Tampa Bay, where they were playing host to the Ottawa Senators. So I'll get those teams' logos up on the screen, and we'll take a look and see who won this matchup and where both of these teams are sitting after this game. So in the first, Brady Tkachuk would open up the scoring, getting his 35th goal of the year, assisted by Chychrkin, 8 minutes and 45 seconds in the opening frame. Connor Sheary would tie the game up, 9 minutes and 45 seconds in that same period. For Sheary, that would be his 4th goal of the year from Kucherov and Braden Point. Braden Point would give the Lightning a 2-1 lead with 7 minutes and 4 seconds to go on the clock. For Point, that would be his 45th goal of the year from Kucherov and Connor Sheary. So after 40 minutes of play, the Lightning had a 2-1 lead. Drake Batherson would tie the game up in the third period, 2 minutes, 11 seconds into that frame. For Batherson, that would be his 28th goal of the year, assisted by Tkachuk and Chabot. This game would need to be settled in the extra time. There was no scoring in overtime, so we would need a shootout, and the captain, Brady Tkachuk, would get the game-winning goal for the Ottawa Senators, making it 3-2 in favor for them. So with the victory, Ottawa's now sitting 35, 40, and 4. They have 74 points on the season with 3 games remaining. After the shootout loss, the Tampa Bay Lightning are 44, 27, and 8. They have 96 points on the season. They are making the playoffs. It's just a question of whether they can catch up to Toronto for third or if they're basically locked in at that number 1 wildcard spot. Alrighty, the next matchup I will be reviewing took place in Toronto. Of all the teams that I just talked about, this is it. So the Leafs were wrapping up their back-and-back, or home-and-home with the New Jersey Devils. Just a day or so ago, they played in New Jersey and won, and then New Jersey went into their barn, and we'll take a look and see how this game went. So John Tavares would kick things off just 18 seconds into the first. For Tavares, that'll be his 25th goal of the season, assisted by Mitch Marner. Eric Holla would tie the game up 21 seconds after that. For Holla, that'd be his 16th goal of the year. Austin Matthews would strike, getting his 67th goal of the season from Domi and Brody, 6 minutes and 8 seconds of the first period. Foote would get his first goal of the season for the New Jersey Devils, tying the game up at 7 minutes and 57 seconds in the opening frame. Timo Meier would give the Devils their first lead of the night, his 26th goal of the season. And for Meier, his goal was assisted by Bratt and Luke Hughes, a power play goal with 7 minutes and 23 seconds to go in the period. So 5 goals were scored in the first period. The Devils were holding on to a 3-2 lead. In the second period, Austin Matthews would strike again. Big surprise, getting his 68th goal of the season from Domi and Bertuzzi. David Kampf would give that goal happen with 8 minutes into the period. Just a minute and 17 seconds after that, David Kampf would give the Blue Shirts a 4-3 lead. For Kampf, that would be his 8th goal of the season, assisted by Dewar. Timo Meier would tie the game up, getting his 2nd goal of the game, his 27th of the season, assisted by Nick Hischier. And that goal happened with just 12 seconds to go, and it was a power play goal as well. So after 40 minutes of play, we had 4 goals apiece. Jesper Bratt would give the Devils a 5-4 lead with 8 minutes and 57 seconds to go in the third. For Bratt, that would be his 26th goal of the season from Hughes and Timo Meier. John Tavares will get his 2nd goal of the game, getting his 26th of the season from Riley and Mitch Marner, and that goal will happen with 4 minutes and 47 seconds to go in the frame. And just when I thought this game might head into overtime, Jesper Bratt would strike yet again with just 1 minute and 14 seconds to go on the clock. For Bratt, that would be his 27th goal of the year, and the Devils would pull this one off. 6-5 would be the final score. So with the victory, the Devils are 38, 37, and 5. They have 81 points on the season with just 2 games remaining, so they have been eliminated from the postseason. After the loss, the Toronto Maple Leafs are 46, 24, and 9. They have 101 points on the season. They are still sitting third in that Atlantic Division. And I got a funny feeling if they win just one more game or two of the final 3 games, they should at least secure the third spot in the Atlantic Division. And the only way they could get home ice advantage in the first round is if Florida lost their last 2 games and Toronto won their last 3. So if Florida wins one more time, it's like a lock that Toronto should finish at least third in the Atlantic Division. Alrighty, what matchup is next? So we have the Winnipeg Jets. They're taking on the Dallas Stars. So get those teams' logos on the screen, and we'll take a look and see who won and where the teams are at in the standings. So both of these squads have qualified for the postseason. It's just a matter of who's going to finish where in the standings. So in the first period, Nick Ehlers would kick things off with 5 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the frame. For Ehlers, that'll be his 24th goal of the season. So the Jets had a 1-0 lead heading into the second period. Gustafsson would increase the lead to 2-0, 9 minutes and 20 seconds into the frame. For Gustafsson, that'd be his 3rd goal of the year from Sandberg and Mason Appleton. Heading into the third period, the Jets had a 2-0 lead. Mark Scheifele would get an empty net goal with 2 minutes and 21 seconds to go. For Scheifele, that'd be his 25th goal of the year from Connor and Mason Appleton. So 3-0 would be the final score in favor of the Jets. So with the win, Winnipeg is now sitting at 49, 24, and 6. They have 104 points on the season. They have the second place spot as we speak, but they are still tied with Colorado with points. So, and both of those teams have 3 games remaining. So it's just going to see who can win more games in the final 3 matchups. As for the Dallas Stars, after the loss, they are 50, 21, and 9. They have 109 points on the season with 2 games remaining. And realistically, if they win out their last 2 games, they should be able to secure that Central Division. Alrighty, so the next matchup took place in Seattle, where we had the Kraken, and they were playing against the San Jose Sharks. Alrighty, let's take a look and see how this one went. So in the first period, Kunin would strike, getting his 11th goal of the season from Thurn and Klim Kostin, 8 minutes and 6 seconds in the frame. Just a minute and 16 seconds after that, Brian Dumoulin would tie the game up, getting his 6th goal of the year, assisted by Jordan Eberle. So after 20 minutes of play, we were all tied up at 1. In the second period, Burroughs would get his 2nd goal of the season from Eklund in third, with 5 minutes and 14 seconds to go in the period. Zetterlund would increase the lead to 3-1 with 4 minutes and 23 seconds to go in the period. For Zetterlund, that'd be his 22nd goal of the year, assisted by Granlund and Eklund. There was no scoring in the third, so 3-1 would be the final score in favor of San Jose. So with that victory, San Jose is sitting at 19, 51, and 9. They have 47 points on the season. They have 3 games remaining. Can they finally get to 20 wins on this year? Only time will tell. And as for the Seattle Kraken, after the loss, they are 33, 32, and 13, 79 points on the season with 4 games remaining. A very disappointing season considering they made the playoffs last year, and now they're missing it for the second time in 3 years. Alrighty, and I believe there's just one more matchup to look at, and that's 2 teams, again, from the Pacific Division, as the Los Angeles Kings were playing host to the Calgary Flames. So I'll get the team's logos up on their screen, and I'll review the last game from Thursday. So in the first, Kevin Fiala would open up the scoring, getting a power play goal, his 28th of the year from Kopitar and Kempe, 6 minutes and 48 seconds in the first period. Victor Arvidsson would increase the lead to 2-0 in the second, getting his 3rd of the year from Deneau and Trevor Moore, just 54 seconds in the second frame. Thomas would get his 3rd goal of the year, assisted by Matt Waugh, 7 minutes and 42 seconds of the middle frame, increasing the lead to 3-0 in favor of Los Angeles. In the third period, Jonathan Huberdeau would finally get the Calgary Flames on the goals on the we finally get the first goal of the game. Wow, I'm stumbling over my words. For Huberdeau, that's a 12th goal of the season from Miro Manov, and Zari 8 minutes and 28 seconds in the frame, cutting the deficit to 3-1. Victor Arvidsson with his second goal of the game. It'd be an empty net goal with 3 minutes and 14 seconds to go on the clock. For Arvidsson, that'd be his fourth goal of the year, assisted by Kopitar and Drew Doughty. So 4-1 would be the final score in favor of Los Angeles. So with the victory, the Kings are 42, 26, and 11. They have 95 points on the season with 3 games remaining. They are sitting third in that Pacific Division, but the Knights are 3 points behind them with a game on hand. So for the Kings, they need to win at least 2 of the last 3 games if they want to secure a top 3 spot in that Pacific Division. As for the Calgary Flames, after this loss, they are 35, 38, and 5. They have 75 points on the season with 4 games remaining. So far, to me, it's not seeming like the Huberdeau and Kadri additions have improved this Flames squad, considering how many players that they've lost and traded away in the past 2 seasons. Alrighty. As always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. Until next time, as always, take care.